We got all kinds of 49ers stuff to talk about today. The San Francisco 49ers bring back a familiar face. Brock Purdy goes on the Pat McAfee show, saves a reporter from some coyotes. We got draft stuff to talk about, Brandon Aiyuk stuff, the smoke season. Woo! The smoke out here around the 49ers and the NFL draft picked up this week like it was predetermined. So, we're going to talk about that, our conspiracy theories revolving why seemingly everyone is saying the same thing all at the same time. Coincidence? I think not, but we're going to talk about all that stuff coming up right here. And as you guys already know, drop an SDS in the chat, smash that like button, and let's get into it right meow. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Shout out to the bread gang checking in today. Oh boy. We got some fun stuff to talk about. You know, whenever you think it's like, oh, it's starting to slow down around the 49ers, we'll find something to talk about. We'll find something to argue about. All those good things coming up. Let's start with some of the news today, and then we will kind of transition into some of the other topics. Let's start with the draft stuff. There are a lot of prospects in the Bay Area right now. Earlier today, you could see on Siona Vaikai's story that he and Kingsley Suamataia were at the 49ers facilities for their 30 visits. Not only that, but we also saw Malachi Corley post that he is in the building right now as well. And so the San Francisco 49ers, man, we're getting close. I believe we're 9 days away, something like that, away from the NFL draft, and starting to see all these things starting to percolate around the San Francisco 49ers and with all the draft prospects. Now, from my understanding, again, we don't know everyone that's in the building right now on one of these 30 visits. We have a idea. We have a handful of names. Some other names I saw. Steph Sanchez also was reporting that DeCamerion Richardson is also there. He was a guy that I talked to at the Combine who had a formal meeting there. Now is doing his 30 visit. And there's some other players as well. But Kingsley so far, and you could potentially put Malachi Corley into that category right now, are kind of the only names that I have seen that you can tie to pick 31. Kingsley, obviously. Kingsley is a definitely high profile offensive line prospect in this class. He's one of the bigger projects in this class for offensive line, simply because his athletic profile is through the freaking roof. But has had to go from right tackle to left tackle in 2 seasons. He's really young, so there's a lot of room for growth and development there. But the upside is through the roof. Like, there is a world that exists where Kingsley Suamataia is one of the best offensive linemen in this class 10 years down the road. Us looking back and be like, oh yeah, Kingsley really turned into that guy. So he's there, which I think is a promising one. I personally I like Kingsley a lot. If the 49ers drafted Kingsley, I'd be pretty happy about it. Again, we're just trying to figure out what the 49ers are ultimately going to do at 31. Um, and it's going to be very interesting to see. So we've got some draft stuff that's happening. A lot of prospects in the Bay. We don't know everyone, like I said, but we're getting there. Um, Also, this I saw this as well. Justin said that the Matt Barrows basically was pointing out that the 49ers were on hand at Johnny Newton's pro day. And Barrows called him a sleeper pick at 31. We've talked about Newton quite a bit in certain aspects on this show. And when brought up, we've talked about if he was available at 31, the 49ers should absolutely take him. The only problem is Johnny Newton, in my opinion, is a top 25 prospect. So I have a hard time seeing Johnny Newton sliding out beyond 25 just simply for the fact that he has high upside traits. We are seeing that the NFL is relaxing on the physical build of defensive tackles, and they are understanding that you can be 6'1", 300 pounds and destroy offensive linemen. So I think we're finally starting to see that transition away from that that body type. Justin says people are saying he might slide because he didn't do any testing at the combine or his pro day. To me, if you are in a position of making a decision on who you're drafting and you're just like, oh, well, he didn't test at the combine or his pro day, take him off the board. To those testing measurables, and I'm not saying that Justin's saying this either, he's just sharing the information, which I do believe people are saying, because people during draft season treat the measurables and the testing as if it's more important than the tape. And if you are in a decision of evaluating and making decisions on who those players are going to be, and you're that bent out of shape over a guy not testing when you can see clearly on tape that Johnny Newton is one of the more athletically gifted defensive tackles in this class, you don't deserve to be in a position of drafting anyone or evaluating anyone. So that's fine to have that notion and that thought process, but to me it's flawed because most likely the people who are saying that he might slide because he didn't do testing at the combine are probably not even close to being in a position to make a call on drafting a player and never will. So again, that's part of the process that we are working through. A lot of the people who are doing the yapping aren't doing it from a functional place of really understanding how this whole situation works. So if you are an evaluator and point blank, I don't see him falling to 31. Um, he's just too athletically gifted, and he just pops way too much on tape. And I just don't see how you let a guy like that slide to 31. And if he's there at 31, you're running the card up to the podium to get that player. This dude is going to destroy guards and centers in the league with his first step get off, the ability to have the pass rushing moves. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Newton is a top 15 pick. Like, For example, if you guys have never seen Johnny Newton before, and again, Justin was one of the first guys to put me on to Newton. He's pretty fun to watch. And here's just one example of why he's pretty fun to watch. So I'll blow this up a little bit. So as you can see, Johnny Newton is circled. Watch this. Just watch this little clip. Swipe. Boom. Yeah, hit him so hard they threw a penalty. Like this. Yeah, of course you don't want to get a penalty, but I mean, he beat that guard like a drum, got to the depth of quarterback, instantly cut laterally and destroyed. And this is what he does. This is why he is going to be a problem in the NFL. I talk about it all the time. I would much rather go up against 6'5", 330 any day of the week than a guy like this. A guy like this gives bigger offensive linemen smaller. He gives these kinds of guys give everyone problems. That's why if you're hanging your hat on like, oh well he'll slide a little bit because he didn't test in his pro day or his he doesn't need to. That's why he said I'm gonna let my tape do the talking and I don't need to test like and he doesn't. So if Johnny Newton is there at 31, which I would bet money that he wouldn't be, but if he was, absolutely you're taking him. You absolutely taking him at 31. If any of the top tier defensive tackles on the interior are there at 31, you are running to the podium and you're selecting them over the offensive lineman. That's just how I think you should do it, just based on looking at the 49ers roster construction, understanding where you can find value in this draft. You can find value at offensive line. You're not going to find that type of talent on the defensive line that late. Um, you know, so hey, if it happens, it happens. But, the San Francisco 49ers, you know, a lot of smoke surrounding the 49ers. I don't know what it is, man. Like, s- what did was there a secret meeting that I wasn't invited to? Like, why can't I ever get an invite to these secret propaganda meetings where everyone decides at the same time that we're going to put out that the 49ers are going to take a wide receiver? Like, why can't I be a part of these meetings? Like, I feel like I've earned enough. I work hard enough. I want to be a part of the propaganda meetings. I'll push propaganda. Have you seen the Brian Burns propaganda? I'm probably one of the best qualified to push draft propaganda. Why am I not involved in this? I'm a little peeved. I'm not going to lie. Like, why am I not involved in wide receiver at 31 propaganda? Why do I got to find out about this like everyone else? Why do I got to hear, Matt Mayoko talking about, oh, don't rule out the 49ers drafting a wide receiver at 31. And then you hear Matt Barrows talking about the 49ers drafting wide receiver at 31. And then Peter Schrager, who is super connected to the San Francisco 49ers, um, dropping Lad McConkey at why can't I be a part of these secret meetings? I am so good at pushing propaganda that if only they knew, I would be right here standing next to them pushing wide receiver at 31 propaganda. Come on, man. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me. It's like everyone decided to wake up on the week of April 15th and be like, you know what? Let's talk wide receiver at 31 for the San Francisco 49ers. Debo Samuel, Brandon Aiyuk, Jawan Jennings. Nah. Let's go wide receiver at 31. Who cares about the defensive line? Who cares about a solidified starting cornerback of the future or a starting like linebacker, potentially safety, offensive lineman? Let's go wide receiver. Let's go wide receiver in the first round for a team that ranks at the bottom of the league in pass attempts and has told us that they have no plans of trading Brandon Aiyuk. But I digress. I just wish I was a part of those meetings. Now, Lad McConkey, for example, great player, uh, like really good. I even remember Brandon Ayuk was doing a Instagram live, and people were throwing out draft prospects at him, and someone threw Lad McConkey at him, and he's like, "Hey, Lad McConkey's really that guy. Like he's really good." Like even BA gave Lad McConkey a stamp of approval. But that's not what this is about, you know. It's just more of me being upset that I'm not a part of the propaganda meetings. Because I think I could be a really integral part of the propaganda meetings and just kind of getting on the same page with everyone. I'd be down. But hey, maybe one day they'll be like, Brad, you know what, you come on over here, sit next to Papa. You've earned the right to be a part of the propaganda meetings. Let's go. Yeah, I'm like, yes, about time. My days of chasing the smoke are over with. I can now just create the smoke. That's the goal eventually, is to put, you know, the fire gear away, the mask, quit chasing the smoke. I want to be creating the smoke eventually, one day. But I do find it interesting, the timing of it, um, the whole kind of narrative around it, um, and two, there's a lot of really good wide receivers in this class. Again, I think what is really fun about this particular draft is the 49ers have so many options. They have so many options. They could trade up, they could trade out of the first, they could trade up higher into the second. There's so many variables that exist because there are a lot of really good players too. Like you could get some really good wide receivers late, second, third round. I talked about one today, Jermaine Burton. Um, you wanna go third round, fourth round, go get a guy like Jermaine Burton who could develop into one of those roles. Um, you want to get a solidified returner. Again, that will transition us into our next topic here pretty soon. But you can go out and get a Malik Washington. Dude had nearly 1,500 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns, and 110 receptions at Virginia over a 12-game span. This dude would have put up over 2,000 yards receiving in the NFL if he played 17 games. Just absolutely insane production. But you can find that there's so many. Like let's look at some of the wide receivers in this class. Like there are some there's some good wide receivers, man. Um, so I'm all for drafting wide receiver, but it's like we don't have to draft them in the first. Like we can play the value game. I mean, we all know that Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and Odunze these guys are top 10. They feel like top 10 locks at this point. Brian Thomas feels like top 15. AD Mitchell is feels like top 20, top 25. Troy Franklin feels like early second round. Lad McConkey feels like early second round. Xavier Legette feels like early to mid second round. Keon feels like mid second round. Roman Wilson feels like late second. Xavier Worthy feels like late second. Jermaine feels like mid third. You've got Ricky. This dude's dope. He feels like a third round pick. Malachi Corley feels like a early to mid second round pick, in my opinion. Uh, Walker is got crazy speed. I don't necessarily see the 49ers going that route. No one's talked about Jalen Polk. Don't know why. He's great. He could be a third round pick. Javon Baker, he's good. He could be a third round pick. Malik Washington, just talked about. He could be third, fourth round pick. Everyone's favorite, Brandon Rice, third, fourth round pick. Jalen McMillan, third, fourth round pick. Johnny Wilson, third, fourth round pick. Jamari Thrash, third, fourth round pick. Ania Smith, third, fourth round. Like they're like these are all quality receivers. Jacob Cowing, Luke McCaffrey, Jackson has got something to him. Yeah, like that's why it's like, yes, of course the 49ers could absolutely go wide receiver in the first round, but it doesn't make sense to me from a value standpoint. I feel like you could kick that can further down and go. I mean, unless you really do believe that the wide receiver that's there at 31 is BPA, then do it. Then go BPA. But I feel like there's going to be better cornerbacks. There's going to be better offensive linemen. Uh, and there's going to be a defensive tackle or an edge potentially available there at 31. So, and we know, like we've talked about, the 49ers have the ammunition to target and move up. So they can do that as well. I just found it interesting, all the talk about uh, you know, wide receiver at 31. You know, to me, if you're taking a wide receiver at 31, then you're moving one of your wide receivers. You're moving Debo, you're moving Aiyuk. And so is that in connection and correlation to the situation that played out last week with BA? Is this a counter move? Okay, you unfollow the 49ers. We're going to push some wide receiver propaganda out there. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just seeing it and talking about it. I have no idea. Could be anything. I could be misreading the situation and looking too far into it. Could be blinded by my tinfoil hat. But at the end of the day, I would just continue to look at the wide receiver situation as fluid. The whole thing with BA, everyone's so hot and heavy to give a definitive opinion on what is playing out or what's going to play out with BA. When is it going to be cool just to say this is a fluid situation? BA is clearly not happy. The 49ers, we don't really know how they view this situation, and this situation's fluid. And we're just got to wait and see how it plays out. We've talked about at nauseum about the most likely outcome of what is going to happen with BA, but anything can happen if we're being truthfully honest with one another. And we just have to wait and see how it all plays out. That's really what it comes down to. Um, because as we know, if the San Francisco 49ers get an offer they can't refuse, then guess what? They ain't refusing it. And that's nothing against BA. And if BA is able to get what he's looking for a payday and it becomes a win-win in that scenario, I don't think that's something that couldn't happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's a potential. It's a range of outcome. So, in regards to the Ayuk, the wide receiver smoke at 31, again, it all feels kind of similar. It all feels kind of like leverage. It all feels like leverage through media channels. And this isn't the first time we've ever seen this. Like we've seen stuff like this happen all the time. So the only thing we can do is just watch, wait, and see how it ultimately all plays out when it's all said and done. So beyond that, nothing crazy. But I do find the smoke around the situation kind of funny. Because I'm just ready for the draft. I'm almost ready, like I'm almost tired. I'm almost done trying to predict what the 49ers are going to do. And I'm more of just like, man, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm ready for anything to go down. You know what I mean? I'm ready to see what happens. And whether that's a trade up, trade down, BPA, someone that we weren't expecting to be selected at 31, which feels like the most likely outcome. Does anyone else feel like that? Does anyone feel like the most likely outcome of what is going to happen at 31 is something that none of us are expecting? Like that to me is like where we're at. Like I talk about Troy Fautanu all the time. Not at all do I expect the 49ers to trade up and go get Troy Fautanu. Not even close. Like I feel like that level of a move to go up and draft Troy Fautanu is probably one of the lowest possible ranges of outcomes. I like the idea. I personally would consider that move. I would love to see Troy Fautanu on this offensive line. Do I think that's what the 49ers are going to do? No, I do not. I do not think they are going to do that. I do not think they're going to trade up that far and take an offensive lineman. Um, I would say what I feel like is the most logical move for the San Francisco 49ers would be to trade up into the early 20s. I feel like that's about as far as they would go, because part of it is one, it becomes a steep drop back for the team in the teens, which makes it very expensive. So, is the value there? Most likely not. But that doesn't mean they can't trade up into the 20s, mid 20s for relatively good value and snatch someone. So I feel like for a trade up, that is the most likely outcome. Into the mid 20s, early 20s, grab someone that they see that's potentially sliding out, because there's that. I think the most interesting part of this draft is between 10 and 20. I feel like between 10 and 20 is going to shake the whole draft. I believe for a fact 4 quarterbacks are going in the top 10. I believe 4 quarterbacks are going in the top 5. Um, you I would not be shocked to see 5 quarterbacks go in the top 10. Um, I would say the most likely outcome right now is it does feel like Penix could go in the 10 through 20 range. But again, if he does, that pushes another good player down. We talked about the 3 wide receivers. Those guys are going to be top 10 draft picks. At least that's what it feels like. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Joe Alt is going to be the first offensive lineman off the board, most likely. That's 8. And then the last 2 picks of the top 10, not in any particular order, are going to be interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We had a little break in there if you missed it. If you saw it, you saw it. But it'll be it. So like I feel like Fashanu, I haven't watched his tape yet, which I need to. But I have to figure out like where he's gonna go. I gotta watch his tape. Brock Bowers. He could be a potential top 10 consideration. Um Verse could sneak into the top 10. I don't know. Latu feels like he's kind of fallen a little bit. Uh on this particular ranking, Johnny Newton is 13th ranked. Um so I feel like the top 8 we know. The top 8 we know. Outside of that, it's gonna be very interesting. Michael Caldwell says, "How good does it feel talking about the draft and not mentioning quarterback?" Oh, it feels absolutely phenomenal. It feels so good. It really, really does. Um, like the quarterback conversation for the 49ers has been nauseating for a long time. I enjoyed the drama of the Mac Jones at 3, Fields at 3, anyone but Mac. Like I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. So 2021, that was fun. But beyond that, it's just been a huge pain in the ass. Uh, but now it feels great because Brock is that guy. Um, I'm hyped off of it. Uh, I feel like I feel like I really do feel like Brock has completely solidified himself uh as that guy. Um Callie says, Brad, was that your first time talking to Brock the other day? It was technically my second time. I got to ask him one question at the Super Bowl, which was a challenge because Brock Purdy was obviously the most popular 49er in terms of media. So I was able to get one question in um at the Super Bowl. But yeah, that was my first time like ever like really just kind of getting a that was a one-on-one conversation that I had with him. He wasn't talking to anyone else. He's just talking to me. Yeah, that was my first one-on-one conversation with Brock, but he's that guy. Gabriel says, "What do you think about the Brady talk?" I think the Brady talk is absolutely hot air. Um, I think it's absolutely hot air. I'm convinced that there's no way in hell that Tom Brady will play for the San Francisco 49ers. Tom Brady had the opportunity to play for the San Francisco 49ers last year. He had the opportunity after getting his ass kicked by the 49ers, seeing it up close and personal with Brock Purdy coming off UCL surgery. Kyle Shanahan went to Tom Brady directly and said, "Tom, I want you as my quarterback." And Tom said, "Nah, nah." Like, that was it. That was the opportunity, and he passed on it. So all this all this talk about Brady, it's more so just something to talk about in the off season. But if we're being honest, yeah, that's never going to happen. It's the opportunity came and he passed from my understanding of how the situation went down. So yeah, I the only way is that if Brock, knock on wood, goes down, and yeah, something happened. But outside of that, I don't see it happening. Justin says, Brad, what do you think of Edgrin Cooper at 63? I get torn between him and Braylon Trice every time. You're not the first person to tell me about him. I personally haven't watched him, but you're definitely not the first. I believe Tony Meredith, who pops into our chat from time to time, he's been banging the table for this guy for, I would say, a solid month. Um, a solid month. Um, so I gotta check him out. I gotta crunch, man. I just like it's the worst prepared draft season I've ever been, but I'm YOLO. YOLO. Um, who do I think is the most likely player to be drafted by the 49ers? Doesn't matter which round. You know what, Charlene? First of all, hello. Glad to have you here. Second of all, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am probably the last person that you should ask who I think the 49ers are going to draft. You guys know I do my homework. You guys know that I feel very confident in my ability to scout. The 49ers rarely draft who I think they should take. Um, Rare, very rare, very rare. So for me, it's an exercise of like seeing who I like a perfect example. I like Troy Fautanu, which means the 49ers most likely outcome is to draft Roger Rosengarten. Like, that's just how I think of it. It's like, I like this guy. So who is the opposite? Because that is who the 49ers are probably going to take. Um, like I was banging the table for Quinn Miners and they drafted Aaron Banks. I was banging the table for Zach Tom and they took Spencer Burford. We did, yes, we did get the Jair Brown one right. I love Jair Brown. Jair Brown was definitely someone I wanted the 49ers to take. So that one we got that one. I would consider that a hit of uh ex, you know um liking a guy and being like, this guy would fit with the 49ers, and then the 49ers actually reciprocating the same thoughts and taking him. Um, so yes, Jair for sure. Justin says called us fit with Hufanga pre-draft. Um, yeah, dude, I was hyped. I was hyped off Brown. I freaking love Jair. He just popped on tape, and then when you get to talk to the person, like I got to do a one-on-one interview with Jair at the Super Bowl. I got to talk to Jair for a solid 5-6 minutes. That dude is uh dope. He's dope. He's even cooler person. We did get Kittle. There's been a couple more that we were able to get. Like one I was wrong on. I liked Danny Gray on tape at SMU. Danny Gray on tape at SMU really stood out to me. And so when they drafted Danny Gray in the third, I was hyped. Uh, Definitely, I think like a lot of us have cooled on that selection just because the guy can't get on the field. Um, and who knows, maybe never will. So that was one where I did actually like. I liked Danny Gray a lot out of SMU. He really flashed on tape a lot. And I remember watching Danny Gray because I went into that tape trying to watch someone else, and Danny Gray was the one who stood out to me. Um, but that one hasn't panned out. We did that. There's one where 49ers Brad agreed on the pick and it just didn't work. So that's a miss on both of our parts. I'm trying to think who else. Um, well, they hit on Aiyuk. I didn't scout Aiyuk. That was a crazy situation where there were so many wide receivers in that class. I had just zeroed in on CD Lamb, and I had watched so many that I just never got to Aiyuk. And so when they drafted Aiyuk, I was like, "Who?" But the it took me like 5 seconds of watching Brandon Ayuk cook Oregon to realize, like, "Oh, yeah, we got a doll like, we got someone dope." I just never watched him. Um, and then you watch him just cook Oregon, um, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, this guy's dope." For sure. Tyler says, "I was so mad when we passed on Dorial Green Beckham back in the day." Uh, I this so I haven't really come across any Instabus yet. Obviously that's part of my function of being super late into the process, but every year I have someone who I'm like, that's an instant bust. Whoever's taking him is taking a solidified draft bust. And Dorial Green Beckham was my insta bust. Hey, if you scout off spider charts, you would have loved DGB. He would have been your favorite prospect because he had every measurable, he had every testing metric that you would want in a big bodied prototypical wide receiver. But you watch the tape. Oh, I said insta bust. I think he was the number one prospect coming out of high school. I watched him on tape. I said, "Insta bust." He is instantly a bust when he hits the NFL. Got that one right. So don't be mad. I could definitely see why you would have liked him, but we definitely lucked out on that one. Um, he, yeah, he was one of those guys that I would argue with people online of everyone hyping, and I'd be like, he is trash. Um, Another famous insta bust was what's his name? The quarterback for the Broncos, Paxton Lynch. Insta bust. They were hyping up Paxton so heavy, and I was like, this dude is so bad. He is so bad. He was like, it boggles my mind at times. It's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Like that's part of the beauty of the draft is everyone sees all these guys a different way for different reasons, and that's the beauty of it. And I don't expect my opinions to match anyone else's because that's not what I'm trying to do. My opinions uh, of evaluation are specific to myself. I don't expect anyone to evaluate like I evaluate because all of everything that I pull from is things that I've been through and what I've learned. Um, but it's just funny how I feel like I can see that. Like another one, Obi Melifonwu. That was one of my favorite ones too because Obi Melifonwu was terrible, and he was a high second round draft pick by the Patriots, and he was out of the league by year 2. Um, he was an insta bust, but his brother Ifitu Melifonwu, I really liked. I really liked Ifitu a ton. Um, and he's definitely been a lot better than his brother is. And he's shown some quality signs. He plays for Detroit. I don't have an Instabus yet. I haven't come across anyone where I feel that conviction of like this guy is trash, but everyone's hyping. Um, I would say Amarius Mims has a bust warning label. Like I would just say warning. I haven't done enough to be able to stamp it, but I'm like I'm warning. Warning. Amarius Mims might be a bust. Warning. It's a warning label. I don't feel confident in it just because I haven't done the full study on him. I've done enough. I just haven't done all of it. But he's a guy that I'm like, he makes me nervous. Makes me nervous a little bit. Um and all that good stuff. But I'm curious to see how the draft plays out. I'm curious to know how are you got like it's so funny to me what becomes polarizing on social media. Apparently the signing of Trent Taylor is either a move that you liked or a move that you absolutely despised to the point that if you that the two sides are yelling at each other. It's like, what the things that 49ers Twitter put energy into is so funny to me because I can only speak about the Trent Taylor signing from a personal place. Like, I love Trent Taylor because it represents my start of covering the 49ers. I feel like I came in to the 49ers with Trent, with Kittle. And as you guys know, Kittle was my draft crush. So I was hyper hyped on Kittle. And then when I found out Kittle and Trent were good buddies, and then I started doing my research on Trent, I'm like, well, Trent's dope too. And then the whole quality time, like for me personally, and like I talk to Trent from time to time. Like I actually like the person. I like Trent Taylor. Um, so when I'm excited about Trent Taylor being signed, I like Trent. Like Trent to me was one of the guys like I think Trent was the first 49er player to ever follow me on Instagram. Like to try to just give you a sense of like why I like Trent Taylor. Like Trent has supported my page from the very beginning. He's engaged, interacted. We've talked for years. And I loved him as a player. And then he got derailed by the foot injury heading into 2019, and it just didn't work out beyond that. But it's just funny to watch, like, people either feel one way, like, either positively or negatively, and then, like, basically talk shit to you for how you feel about a move. And it's just at the end of the day, it's like, like, first of all, Trent signed a 1 year, most likely a veteran, a cost effective deal, and he's coming in to be the punt returner. Like, he's coming in to be the punt returner. Like, that's my guy. And it's not only that, it's nostalgia. Like, but but what am I hyping? What am I hyping? Are you thinking that I'm saying that he's coming in to be the next Brandon Knight? What am I hyping? I'm hyped that we got a familiar face back who, in my opinion, didn't get to realize the potential that he had because one, he got hurt and then he got cut and then just never got to realize that potential that he had. And then now he gets another opportunity. He comes back. And not only that, like, dude, I have edits. I made an edit of this guy back in 2017. And again, for me personally, I like Trent Taylor, the person. I still follow him. We still engage. He jumped into my Instagram live last training camp and we was chopping it up with me in the comments. Like, you don't have to like the move. Like, I don't care. Like, this is uh and again, he's saying it's okay to be hyped about your friend coming back, but it's not that serious. What is serious? Like, what is serious? what what is serious? Who is being serious? The only people who are being serious are the people who are commenting about people liking the idea of Trent returning and be like, "Oh, we got this guy." Who cares, man? Who cares how other people feel about a move? Like, what are we tripping off of? What are we tripping off of? Anyways, I think it's a cool move. I'm excited to have Trent back. I think it's cool. Kind of a full circle moment. One fits a role and a need for punt returner, and you can get him into that role, or you can also uh, draft a returner as well. But I think one of the things that we do see with this move is that he can fill a role. And that is a situation where I think the 49ers haven't been able to really figure that out for a long time. And so this is what Trent Taylor did in Cincinnati with the Bears. He was a punt returner. Now we got a punt returner and a guy that has done it for a long time. And I think is a trustworthy punt returner. Um, if he has a role beyond that, great. If he makes the roster, great. Nonetheless, I'm personally happy for Trent to be able to come back, get some quality time, with this team. I mean, I think back to, like, with Trent, for me, like, Trent was a part of the culture shift. He was a part of, like, the new wave of being so bad and then getting Kyle Shanahan, getting John Lynch. He was a part of the first draft class, and he was a part of that culture swing. Um, and some of the highlights here from when I think back to that game on Christmas Eve against the Jags. Like, he played a huge part in that win in that game. He played a huge role in this game against Tennessee, and Tennessee was a playoff team at the time. He was just he was a part of the culture swing. And so for me, I don't I personally don't mind if you don't think it moves the needle, because in reality, the 49ers, if we're being objective about it, they got a veteran punt returner. And if he can be more than that, that would be ideal. But if he's not, at minimum, you're getting a veteran punt returner who knows his role. But on top of that, this dude was a former Niner. He was a guy that at one point was integrated into all of this, integrated into the path that we were on. Just like if the 49ers signed Kendrick Bourne, the 49ers fan base would be hyped, right? If the 49ers brought back other guys that were a part of that culture swing and you brought them back, you'd probably have like a sense of nostalgia, and that's all it is. But again, it's funny how people are getting angry about it. But nonetheless, I think Trent shores up a position of need. We needed a punt returner. Like, we've needed a punt returner. This isn't anything new. Um, and this is literally what he does. This is what he does in the league. And if he can be more than that, even better. But as it stands right now, hey, we got a veteran who comes in and can potentially be a guy that we rely on. And if not, no skin off our nose. Fun story, none the less. So I don't know. I thought it was an interesting dynamic of how everyone gets angry at everything. Um, it's just like, dude, who cares? But anyways, what other stuff happened in the 49ers world? Trent came back, draft prospects, Yetur Gross Matos, pick number 94. Oh, the John Deere commercial. Did you guys see the John Deere commercial? Uh, where Brock, that was a really good commercial. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know we talk a ton about Brock's dealings in brand deals and stuff like that. But I thought that that John Deere uh commercial was pretty funny. And the fact that they put Amber Fry in there, or Amber, I don't even know her real Amy Amber. I don't know, the girl that looks like Brock is there. Brock out here saving people from coyotes. Um, swell, what a swell guy. What a swell guy. So I'm hyped for Brock continuing to add on to of uh the legend of Brock Purdy, and just kind of solidifying himself as a all around good guy, man. All around good guy. Saving people from coyotes, putting on massive camps for kids. Uh franchise. Franchise quarterback. Uh What's my most expensive 49ers item? Uh, that Mitchell and Ness, I think, was probably around 300. That's a custom helmet that I had made. Ooh, the game worn Diamador Lenore Oregon jersey that had some price to it. Um, did I see the? Yeah, I saw the Applebee's. It was hilarious. It was it was hilarious. It was funny how everyone recognized him too. They're like, "Oh, wait a second." Like, "Wait a second. We recognize you. We recognize you." Brad's channel's the most valuable Niner item. I don't think you're wrong about that. What's up with the Vikings helmet? That is where I played at JUCO, high school, and then I don't have my other college helmet. That was one that I wasn't able to snag. I wish I did. But the Vikings is my JUCO helmet. It's hard to see, but that's like a dark forest green. So it's not a Vikings helmet. Like that's purple. This is a green. So that is where I played my JUCO ball right here. That's high school ball. And me when I was on the 49ers for 30 seconds. I'm just kidding. I wasn't on the 49ers. That would have been wild though. My guy that I played, my left tackle that I played with at JUCO was on the 49ers though. So one of my teammates that I played with on the offensive line uh, was with Jim Harbaugh, I think in year one. Um, hey, shout out to my guy. He played at Cal. He played with Alex Mack, I believe. I believe he blocked for Javid Best. And then he was able to he was an undrafted free agent, signed with the 49ers. He made it all the way to the final cuts. But his name was Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards. I wonder if any 49ers stuff would even come up. No, there's another prominent. Oh, that's the running back for Michigan. I'm trying to think. Did anyone else I play with play in the league? I played against a couple people who went to the league. I played against Zach Ertz. Played against Roy Helu Jr. Played against uh another guy that went to the league too. Played against a couple guys. Played against a couple guys that should have went to the league, but were knuckleheads. That's another story. But yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm just excited for the draft to get here. Uh, was I better than? No, no. He also had like prototypical size. Like he had super long arms, super long legs, left tackle. Um, I would consider myself like a developmental prospect. I was a developmental guy. Um, I think I could have been a lot better than what I ultimately was. Football for me was one of those things where it's like, man, I wish I knew now you know, back then, because I would have been a hell of a lot better of a player. And it just is it's a reminder too how mental football is like I went through playing football without really truly understanding how mental the game was. Like I was so focused on becoming biggest, fastest, strongest that I didn't focus on becoming the smartest and realized too late that like probably should have spent more time in the playbook. Probably should have spent more time watching film. Now I watch film for fun. Back then I didn't watch film because I didn't get it. Like I didn't understand what I was watching film for. And isn't that crazy to like kind of think that I had been playing football for so many years and as a college player, I still didn't understand how to watch film. I understood how to watch film after I was playing football. And like I understood how to watch myself and self analyze myself and how to improve myself. I didn't get football at that level. And it's crazy to think about because like man, if I had the knowledge that I had now and could impart that into my younger self, it'd be like, damn, wonder what I really would have done playing ball. But that's part of the process, right? It's part of like identifying that in these prospects who understands football at this, at this age, at this level, who has the proper habits, who's watching film, who knows how to break down film, who knows how to prepare themselves for the next level, all that stuff. Brad, do I go all out for the draft with snack food like wifey and you? Um, I used to, but now I work on the draft. Like the draft day is a work day for me. Um, so uh it used to be more of a watching experience. But for the better part of about 6 years now, I've been working. Like I consider draft day a work day. Um, so used to, but not as much as I miss those days when you could just enjoy. Now everything is content. Get it out as fast as you can. Oh, reaction video, breakdown. Um, no, but I miss the days of just being able to kick back and watch it play out. One of these days, one of these days when I build this thing up big enough, um, I'm gonna have someone else doing all that, and then I could just watch. Oh, but anyways, smash that like button. Appreciate everyone hopping in. Kings, Warriors. Is this the play-in game? Is this like a playoff game? No, I'm so out of the loop on basketball right now. Um, I should be paying more attention. Uh, and but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's a play-in game. Like winner win in advance. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. It's a playing game. So win in advance. This is losers. Okay. Well, shoot. I'm gonna be watching tonight. Then I'm gonna be watching tonight. Then Warriors Kings. I like that. Ooh, I like that. Winner plays. Okay, so is this the play-in tournament? Okay. All right. I'll be watching then. I'll be watching then. Um, I'll take some time for some Warriors for sure, especially if it's an elimination game. Um, I used to be crazy into the Warriors. I've got randomly these 2018 finals, these kinds of giveaways that they had. Oh, look at that roster. Whoo! Look at that. JaVale McGee, Livingston, Zaza Pachulia, West, Young Loon, Quinn. Who else? I can't even see. That's crazy. That's a throwback. We got A's. Oh, look at this Niner one. We got. Is that Witherspoon? They put Witherspoon on this thing? Richard Sherman, DeForest Buckner, Armstead. So only 2 of these players remain. What other ones do we got? Oh, this is a good one. We've got Jimmy, Juice. Look at that. Sanders, Staley. Oh, which is this one? Oh, we got Eric Reed. We've got Navarro Bowman, Buckner. Is that Hyde? Yeah, that's Hyde at the top. Yeah, I had more Warriors ones. I don't know where they're at. I had more Warriors ones. Oh yeah, the Sacramento A's. Bleh. Terrible. But let's get the W, Warriors. Let's get it done. I'm gonna pretend like I've been watching all year and not act like a bandwagon. It's crazy. It's crazy. I went from being such a diehard Warrior fan before they were any good to now I'd probably consider myself more of a bandwagon Warrior fan. Like I just don't watch the games anymore. But I think that's because my job is sports now and all my sports energy goes into the 49ers. But it's some of the sacrifices that you make. But appreciate everyone for tapping in. Let's go watch some Warriors Kings coming up pretty soon. Let's get it. Appreciate you all. I'm out of here. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to